you're 100% confident that the law of attraction is real,
Mm-hmm.
and you're using reasons that you said could be used to arrive at a false conclusion.
Right.
And my question is, how confident should we be in conclusions that are supported by reasons that could be used to arrive at a false conclusion?
Oof. I mean, you can be confident either way, I think. Because without knowing and living it, there's no way to prove the other side incorrect. Right? Oh, there we go. Oh, there it is. What is that?
All right. Did I explain what I was doing okay?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
cool.
so.
Awesome.
Like the topic leaves room for a lot of possibilities.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. And the more meaningful the conclusion you choose to talk about, the more meaningful the conversation usually is. So, did you want to give your name? First
Sure.
name?
My name's Megan.
Megan?
Yes.
Megan.
Egan. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Plain and simple.
My name's David.
David, nice
Great to meet you. Do you live here in Seattle?
I do. I
Okay.
actually live up in Capitol Hill area, but I am a pet sitter.
Oh, you're
So,
Pet City.
I travel around the city as well. Not
Oh,
doing
cool.
interviews, but watching pets.
Awesome. Right on.
Yes.
So you get to hang out with all kinds of different pets.
Yes. Mostly dogs and cats.
Cool.
And I'm overnight, so I just stay in other people's houses all the time.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Paid couch crasher.
So you get paid to hang out with their pets and
Mhm.
hang out in their house.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Cool. Well, do you have something in mind that you want to explore? Something that you think is true, that's meaningful to you?
Yes. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. The act of giving yourself away to other people. The act of selflessness.
Selflessness?
Selflessness. Yes.
Okay.
Like how you can be of service to others.
Oh, we've got a friend.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Selflessness?
Selflessness. Or
Okay.
I guess any word that would come with that, like charity or volunteer work, like anything that involves getting out of yourself.
Okay. What is beneficial about selflessness?
For the other person or for self? The person giving or receiving?
Either one.
Either one?
Yeah.
Well, that's the kind of interesting thing about giving is you're doing a selfless thing, but selfishly, it makes you feel really good.
Okay.
That's
So
making any
good
sense.
good feelings that you get from being selflessness.
Yeah. or just making a ripple in someone's day, doing what you can in that moment to turn someone's day around or change the trajectory of how their day is going to go, even for a second, just to recognize their humanity.
Okay. So making a positive impact that helps improve humanity?
Or just like recognizing other people's humanities. Like if they don't feel seen or heard, or they're simply just having a bad day, you never really know what one small gesture can do for them. And I think it can stack. It's like a domino effect. You do something nice, they feel really good because they got something nice, and then it just keeps spreading. Ideally, I would like to think that
Okay.
happens.
Okay. I'm trying to think of a statement that we can explore that has to do with selflessness that you think is true that I can ask questions about.
That I think is true. That's a tough one. And it makes I feel like it makes everybody in the situation feel good. It's like a win-win-win situation, I would think.
Being selfless is a win-win?
Yeah.
Okay. Could somebody win without being selfless?
Yeah, I think so.
What would be an example of somebody winning? Hang on, let me rephrase that. Could somebody win without being selfless? Maybe I did ask that. Could somebody win while not being selfless?
I guess that kind of depends on what they see as winning, right?
Okay. So in your situation, when you say selflessness is a win-win, what do you mean by win?
I guess the feelings that encompass what a win feels like feel good, accomplishment, like you did something.
Okay.
Um,
Would you say that selfishness is the opposite of selflessness? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's kind of a way for me to
yeah,
understand it better.
opposite, selfishness. I would say yeah.
Okay.
I think it would be the opposite.
So could somebody win by being selfish?
Maybe
With
not.
your definition of win?
My definition, no. I guess it depends on going back to what their version of winning is. I guess for me personally, it would not be a win.
Okay.
Unless you're looking at the larger picture. So it's like, they say you can't pour from an empty cup, right?
Uh-huh.
So you may need to refill that cup with acts of selfishness, whether that be isolation or not being able to give yourself to other people for some time to recharge.
Okay.
In that case, it's not like the definition of selfish. Like it doesn't have this derogatory thing to it. It's just full of self for that moment to recharge however long. And then you can continue to carry out things, the selflessness from your full cup now.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Would you say that sometimes it's beneficial to be selfish so that you can recharge and then in turn be selfless later?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So selfishness could be beneficial.
Yes.
How do you decide when to be selfish and when to be selfless?
I think, of course, everyone's going to feel it a little bit differently. But I think when you start to feel like you can't give anything else, you don't have anything to give, that it's time to turn into self and do a little reflection and be selfish for X amount of time. And like I said, like that selfish, like what people typically think selfish is, it doesn't have to be like derogatory or a negative thing. But I lost my train of thought with the original question.
It's okay. Sometimes that happens. What do you mean by self? What is the self?
Oh my gosh, everything. Your mental health, physical health, spiritual, emotional health as a whole, your whole vessel, really. They all play off of each other. And one gets affected and then the rest gets affected.
What is not the self?
That's a tough one. What is not the self? Wow. I think everything could really be the self. You know, you see someone and maybe something about them irks you. And then it's like, okay, well, they're kind of a mirror for me. So there's something within myself that I don't like that makes me irritated or annoyed with them. So it's kind of like their self in everything.
Everything's the self?
Could be. But if you're like compressing it down and being like maybe a little more logical and not like universal about it, that say like the body, your vessel, and everything that lives inside of you would be self.
Logically speaking, everything that's inside your body is the self?
I would say.
Okay. But illogically, the self is everything?
Yeah, I think you could see yourself
Inside and
in
outside?
everything. Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
Which one is more aligned with truth? The logical definition of self or the illogical definition of self?
I'm gonna go with logical. I feel like it's also a more reachable thing, like something people can grasp a little bit easier when they're thinking about self. You know, we all live in here, so I think it's a little more palpable to picture it as the more logical, like my physical body and my brain and the way I think and my feelings and so on.
Okay. So the logical view of self is probably the more real?
I would say a more tangible thing.
Okay. How real is the illogical self? Like on a scale from 0 to 100?
Yeah.
Where 0 is the illogical self, the everything self, is definitely not real. And then 100 is, it's completely real. Where would you put yourself on that scale?
I'm gonna put myself at about 90.
90?
Yeah.
Okay.
In case you haven't picked up on it, I'm a big believer of the universe and energies and law of attraction and manifestation, and that's like where my like philosophies and belief system comes from. So when I waffle with these answers, it's because there's also a very logical side of me. So when I am talking to you and I say, well, logically, like, this is myself because it's my body, this is where I live, these are the things that I can tap into.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you bring this magic. Like, I don't have to try to be in my body, but I have to try to do the latter, be a part of other things. And that's what makes it so interesting, is because you're stepping outside of this to connect with other things that you can see yourself in.
It takes effort to realize the self as outside of your body.
Yeah.
And you're 90%. It's okay, so the illogical self, the outside self, is 90%. You're 90% confident that it's real. Would you say that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have time to talk about law of attraction? Okay.
Look at that.
Because I don't want to keep you too long.
Yeah.
When you say law of attraction, what do you mean by that?
I mean, I will.
I talk about like visualization.
Visualization.
Yeah. Like the things that you attract are the things that you attract and will bring into your life.
Do you have an example of when the law of attraction was used by you?
When I like it, I like the angle down low.
To reach a goal or attain something, or okay.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing that example?
Not at all. You are looking at it,
Okay.
good sir. So don't you paw at me. I'm going to talk about you. So the pandemic.
Okay.
Surprise, as we all know and love it. I was laid off, and you spend a lot of time with yourself during that time. Not getting any socialization, nothing. And I kind of crumbled within myself and realized that I didn't have it in me to do the things that I was doing before. I just couldn't show up on someone else's payroll. I didn't have the energy anymore. I couldn't be what I didn't want to be anymore. So the thought of going back to a 9-to-5 type job made me ill, made me sick to my stomach. So I spent months. And of course, this was a time period of rest. I didn't have to be somewhere. We were expected to be home, so I had the time and the energy to put into these things. And I spoke about these things as if they were already happening. I said, I work for myself. I have a flexible, stress-free job that pays me well. And I have fantastic clients. And I didn't know what the medium would be. Had no idea it was going to be in pet care. So sometimes you have to take away those really specific things, and you look at the traits of the things that you want versus the thing itself. And I did it over and over again, and then the world started opening back up, and I, over a year, built a full clientele that I see continuously, and I have all of those things that I asked for in the way that I earn money.
Did you believe in the law of attraction before the pandemic?
I did, but I didn't do the work. I found it interesting. So I was familiar with it, but I didn't try.
Okay. On that scale, that same scale, the 0 to 100, how confident are you that the law of attraction is real? And when you mean law of attraction, you mean visualizing things happening that you want, right? So on that scale, how confident are you that the law of attraction is real?
100%.
100?
100%.
Okay. 100. What's the main reason that supports your 100% confidence?
It's really tough because it's worked. It's worked when nothing else has. I know that sounds so simple.
Because it worked.
Yeah, it got me out of the cycle.
Okay. Is your experience of kind of being, would you call it like anxiety of going back to a 9 to 5 job?
Yes.
Like towards the end of the pandemic? And the law of attraction worked for you because you visualized having a job that you wouldn't have to deal with the 9 to 5 stuff, and you were able to get clients where you wouldn't have to do that anymore.
That was the goal.
Okay.
I didn't want like a normal.
If that hadn't happened,
Yeah.
let's say we're at the end of the pandemic and you're like, nothing's coming up, I'm visualizing stuff, but nothing's happening. It looks like I'm going to have to go back to the 9 to 5 work stuff.
Yeah.
Would that have convinced you that the power of attraction or the law of attraction was not real?
No. I think it would still be real. I would still think it is real. I would think that I wasn't doing it well.
Okay.
I wasn't doing it enough. Sometimes it's hard to put a finger on these type of things.
Sure.
It's like, it's just a knowing. I can't even find the words
just a
for
knowing.
it. It's easy to put on a number scale when you give me two from a 0 to 100. I can give you 100.
Yeah.
But I will never be able to verbalize the knowing, the intuition.
Okay.
And I know that there are a million other things that I can attract. It is a constant process.
Okay.
Learning.
Would you say that the just a knowing is a feeling?
Yeah, in your gut.
Okay.
For sure. So it kind of went back to when you asked me if I believed it before the pandemic. And I said yes, but believing and practicing and doing are completely different things. So I would have still believed in it had this not worked out the way that it did.
Would you still believe it 100%?
Yeah, maybe I'm just hard on myself, but I'd probably just blame myself that I wasn't doing it right or didn't want it bad enough.
Like, this is real, and it's my fault that it's not working. That's kind of what you would say?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. So, the experience that you had with the pandemic and not having to deal with a 9-to-5 job, if that hadn't happened, that wouldn't affect your confidence. So it sounds like that has no effect on your 100% confidence.
Right.
Is there anything that does have an effect on your 100% confidence? Like, is there a reason for believing in the law of attraction that, if shown to you, was not a good reason, would drop your confidence in it?
I don't think so.
You'd believe it no matter what?
Yeah. If the law of attraction has one fan, it's me, and if it has no fans, I'm dead. Like, I fully believe in it.
Okay. Is there anything that would convince you to drop your confidence in the law of attraction? And feel free to use your imagination. Like,
Yeah.
it could be something that's completely, like, hypothetical, out of this world.
Yeah.
You can use your imagination. I'm curious if there's anything that would cause you to lower your confidence in the law of attraction.
Temporarily or permanently?
Either one.
Yeah.
There is something that would cause you to lower it?
For sure.
What would cause you to lower your belief in law of attraction?
Probably anything terrible, like a death. I don't do well. I'm getting better, but I don't do well with the topic of death. So if someone close to me were to, I know that doesn't really, obviously you're not attracting death in your life, right? So it's not quite the law of attraction, but say you know, I have a partner, my boyfriend. I'm going to be with him forever. And if something were to happen to make that not happen, it would take me down a couple notches. Because that's not, I hadn't imagined it any other way, right? So to me, it's very real. And you strip that away, and that reality's gone now. So that would absolutely knock my confidence down. Maybe not forever, but definitely temporarily. Because that's not, you know, the way I had envisioned it.
You doing okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. Are you?
Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes I get concerned, like when the idea of death and stuff comes around.
Yeah.
Because that can be pretty sensitive.
Oh yeah.
So let me know if I get too deep here.
Oh no, I will talk about anything. I'm great.
Let's say your boyfriend died tonight.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen.
I'm not gonna dance because the topic is awful, but I wanted to.
You don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen. But if you found out in a couple hours, yeah, he's dead, that would cause you to drop your confidence in the law of attraction?
Yeah. Because for me, I don't visualize any other option. So then it leaves this black hole, this emptiness, you know. Because there are a lot of things that I can't envision because I can't be clear enough because I don't know exactly what I want, right? So some things I can't put my focus on because those things don't exist for me yet. So I'm not going to visualize them. I have no specifics to give. But for that particular thing, yes, it would knock me out of the game entirely. You would be talking to a different person, I think.
How does the law of attraction affect your behavior?
Oh my gosh, it's not a perfect thing, for sure. Like,
It's not perfect?
I'm not like this every day, but it takes a lot of work when you think of it as a vibrational thing, like a vibrational matching. You know, you don't want to walk around being all, you know, cranky and nasty and anxious and in a bad mood. Like, you want, oh, thank you. You want the universe to match the energy in the vibration. And I think that it does that. So
Visualizing stuff helps you match a vibration that the universe has?
for sure. So if I were to walk around like a schlump all day, thinking and believing that my life is, can I cuss? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay, is shit. My life's probably gonna be shit, right? Like, how can you attract positive energy when you're walking around the complete opposite? Sometimes it starts as a choice, which I hate to even say. I hate to even say that, but sometimes the simple choice of waking up and deciding, this is the energy I'm going to put out. Let me just try it on. Like, magic happens. It really does. And it doesn't always have to be the giant, profound moments. It can just be these micro moments. And they compound. And they become these beautiful things. These memories and the energy. It's like fills you like a balloon. You just, like, it's like this larger than life thing. I don't know. I just get really excited about it.
Can I get a quick definition of energy?
I don't even know if I have one. Energy.
So when you say energy, what do you mean?
Yeah.
In this context?
I would go like vibration. Like, what you
Vibration?
put out is what you get back. Type of thing.
Okay. And the way that it affects your behavior, I guess I'll ask this. If you found out somehow that the law of attraction wasn't real, how would your behavior change?
I don't think it will. I don't think it would, because even just the idea of it, I like it.
Okay.
I think it makes me a better person. It gives me a
Believing
lot
in
of
the
hope.
law of attraction makes you a better person, yet your behavior wouldn't change whether you believed in it or not?
You mean if it was somehow proven not to be real?
Yeah.
I think that I've already grown into the practices of doing it, and it works really well for me. So I know that that sounds really silly, but I like who I am in those practices. So if it were to somehow be proven that it wasn't real, I wouldn't change the way that I do things, because it makes all the parts I like about myself show up.
Do you have a way to tell if it was not real?
I don't think so.
You have no way to tell if you were mistaken about it?
No, I don't think, well, because it works for me. I can't speak on behalf of anybody else, but it has worked for me over and over again, to the point where it's not a coincidence.
Not a coincidence?
Not a coincidence. Okay. And I can say that because I am 30 now, and I've known about it, kind of read up on it for, I don't know, the first 28 years of my life. And I was stuck in the same cycles over and over and over again until I started taking it seriously. And my life has unfolded in a completely different way over the last 2 years. And I just don't believe in those types of coincidences. I think that took work, and I think that took a belief system, and that's where my beliefs lie. So,
how do you typically rule out coincidence? Like, what process do you use to rule out that coincidence could be what's happening?
You might be asking the wrong person, because I actually don't think there are any. I think things like fall in your path for a reason, regardless of how small it is. I just don't really believe in coincidences anymore.
Okay. Could somebody that does not believe in the law of attraction arrive at that conclusion based on their belief working for them, the belief that it's not real, works for me, it wouldn't change my behavior, I wouldn't know how to tell if it was real.
Right.
And they just knew that it was not real. How could I find out which one was accurate? Like, if I wanted to know if the law of attraction was real or not,
Yeah.
and the reasons that you're giving, could somebody use those same reasons to arrive at a false conclusion?
Absolutely. Because you'd have to practice. That's the thing about it, is it takes work. Like, no one can read you a book. You can learn about it, but unless you're putting it into action, you would never know. It's the thing that nobody can do for you. It's self-work and self-work only. And it's like, it goes where you put the energy. So like you said, if you're one person deciding what route to go, like, you have to try both to make that decision. But there's no way, like, if someone's sitting in a debate, there's no tangible evidence to show that it either does or does not work. It's like, you either believe in it or you don't.
Would you prefer that there was evidence that demonstrated the law of attraction being real?
I don't think so.
You would prefer there not be evidence?
I think the magic is in the work that it takes. It feels like a huge feat, you know, and you want other people, like, you work so hard doing it and you want other people to feel that too, but you know how much work that it takes, so you get like excited to introduce it to people and to see their growth and to watch these things unfold for them. But there's no convincing the other way, you know. Like, I'm never, if someone's not interested, I would never try to convince them to come to the dark side, you know? Like, or lead by example, at least.
Do you have a reason for supporting your 100% confidence in the law of attraction being real that somebody could not also use to arrive at a false conclusion?
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I'm not sure I understand.
Your reasons for supporting this is you just know. There's just a knowing.
Yeah.
It works for you. And so those reasons, just knowing and it works for me, could I just hypothetically support a conclusion that you think is false by just knowing that it's true and that it works for me? Do you know what I mean? Like,
So, like, what I feel, but they're the opposite. Is that what you mean?
could the
Like-
reasons that you're using to support 100% confidence in your belief be used to
Like-
support a false conclusion? I think you said yes.
Like someone knowing that it doesn't, having that same knowing that it doesn't exist.
Yeah, we could go that route. Like, is there a reason that you're using that could not also be used by someone to support a conclusion that's false?
I feel like I would just be repeating myself
Okay.
a little bit with that, unfortunately.
No,
as
that's
far
cool.
as like, because like, why would you believe something that you're not willing to put the practice
Uh-huh.
into? You know what I mean? So someone could fully not believe because they don't want to put their energy
Uh-huh.
into that, right? So they could have their own perfectly valid equal confidence and knowing that it doesn't exist,
Uh-huh.
because maybe in their world it doesn't.
In their world.
In their world,
They have a different world.
they have a different
Do we have a different world?
perspective wise. Absolutely. The way we move in the world is probably very different.
This might sound like a weird question, and I'm only asking because I get different answers.
Yeah.
Do we share the same planet?
Yes.
Okay. How confident should we be in beliefs that are supported by reasons that could be used to arrive at a false conclusion?
I mean, I'm sorry, can you ask again?
Yeah. You're 100% confident that the law of attraction is real,
Mm-hmm.
and you're using reasons that you said could be used to arrive at a false conclusion.
Right.
And my question is, how confident should we be in conclusions that are supported by reasons that could be used to arrive at a false conclusion?
Oof. I mean, you can be confident either way, I think, because without knowing and living it, there's no way to prove the other side incorrect, right? Is that what you're asking? I'm so sorry. Am I not grasping what
No.
you're asking
No,
me?
no. You're kind of talking out what I'm asking, and I think that's great. Like,
Okay.
You're saying that there's no way to prove it either way.
Right.
Yet you're 100% confident. Right?
Right. Because for I can only speak on behalf of myself. For me, I'm confident because it has worked for me time and time again, consistently for 2 years, doing nothing different but that thing. So that's where I can speak with my confidence. But if you were to sit here and tell me it's not true, I would probably ask you why. And you would give me your reasons. And I would probably agree with you because you've done things differently. So, like, I can't tell you that you're wrong based off of your experience with it. Maybe that's just like being a little too open-minded, a little too broad. But that's how I feel like I move.
Could somebody attribute their personal experience to something that's false?
Can somebody attribute their personal experience to something that's false? I don't know. I'm so sorry.
No, that's
You
good.
stumped me on that one.
I really appreciate it. That was great.
Did I drive you nuts?
No, this is fantastic.
Okay.
This is the best interview I've had all day.
It's the only one you've had all day. Nice try. Nice try.
Do you have any questions for me?
I'm so curious. Why are you doing this?
I have a YouTube channel
Okay.
where I upload these conversations, these interviews that I have, that focus not so much on what the belief is, but what's supporting the belief. And like, are the reasons that we're using to support the belief equal? Does it match the confidence that we have in the belief being true?
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Did I do that for you?
Yeah.
Do you think?
This is
I waste your time.
This is a kind of an excavation of something that you think is true. And my job is to stay as neutral as possible.
Yeah.
So that we can both be on the same team.
Right.
And work towards having a better understanding of what your conclusion is, how you support it, and whether the reasons that you're using to support it match the level of confidence that you have.
Okay. I feel like I got there the long way. But I think we arrived there. Do you think? Do you think we crossed off those 3 things?
I think we
Is
got
there
to...
anything I can clear up?
If there's anything else that you want to share,
I don't think so.
feel free to. I guess I'm just questioning...
Yeah.
I'm questioning the 100% confidence while using reasons that could be used to arrive at a false conclusion. You know what I mean?
Right. So if I'm so confident in this, how could I support someone who doesn't believe in it? Is that kind of what you're asking?
How could you support 100% confidence using the reasons that you're using? If those reasons could also be used to arrive at a conclusion that you think is false.
That's what's getting me, is because it's such a broad, intangible topic.
Mm-hmm.
I think I kept trying to find an answer, and I don't even think that I have one.
Does the intangibility make the belief more likely to be true?
No, I I don't think for most people, I think people like to see proof in things.
And you said we can't prove this either way.
Unless you've lived it.
And I guess that's another question I've got is like, if we can't prove it either way, why are you so confident?
Because I've done it, and my version of it works. What I've done in the work that I've put into this belief in this practice has unfolded some really beautiful things for me. And I love to share that with people, to try to hopefully inspire them to have the same experience with this. But I know it's not for everybody. It's very woo-woo, and people like, if I told somebody I won the lottery and I bought a car and a boat, they would believe me, right? Because where else would I have gotten the money?
Once they see the car and the boat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They can
the tangible
see
stuff.
The thing. That is what I was getting at. Everything, you just have to believe me. That whole story I told you about the pandemic, and that I built this job based off of all the aspects in a money-making opportunity. Like, you just have to go off of what I'm saying, which sounds insane.
I wouldn't be 100% confident about that, though.
About what?
About your story. I believe you.
Yeah.
But I'd probably be, we just met.
Yeah.
Like, you could have made that whole thing up, right?
You're so right.
So, do you think I should be 100% confident in what you're telling me about your story?
Yes. First, I'm a terrible liar. You would know in a heartbeat without even knowing me. There's no way. But my answer to you is like fully encompassing my answer for everything right now. It's like, you don't know until you are, you don't know until you are doing it yourself, right? Like, because I can't show you, back to the lottery thing. Like, I can't pull out my banking app and show you I have millions of dollars. My worth and the things that I find value and the things that I have attracted looks so different than what you might value and want to attract into your life. So it's really hard to gauge like a confidence level, because for me, I'm on top of the world with the confidence because I've watched it happen for me, which brings me back around to like, I would not be upset or tell you you're wrong if you had zero confidence in it, because you don't have the same experience with it that I do. So now we're talking about perspective shifts.
Yeah, I don't have the experience of looking at your bank account or looking at your employment history or whatever. I don't have that experience. I take it at your word that, and you've got the dog. So that's evidence, right? That's tangible stuff. I guess I could still be mistaken, though, about your story. Do you have time for just a couple more questions?
Totally.
Okay. On that scale, 0 to 100, or it's like a pie chart maybe, what percentage of your conclusions about the world that we share do you think are accurate?
Oh my God. My conclusions about the whole world? Zero.
Yeah.
I don't know anything. Truthfully.
You don't know anything, yet you're 100% confident that the law of attraction is real.
Yeah, for me. That's where we're go back to the self-talk. Which is why I think I'm not so adamant. I'm passionate about it, but not in like a confrontational way. And I think that that's where, I don't know, the proof comes in, is that I can talk about it so passionately without trying to convince someone of something else. Like, I'm just like leading by example type of thing, but I am in no way, shape, or form qualified to tell anyone about their own lives. So that's why I have zero confidence, because I don't know what other people's realities are. I don't know what their hardships are. I don't know anything about them. So I would never for the life of me speak on behalf of another person. So therefore my confidence about what I think is true for the entire world is zero.
Okay, so I may not have worded that correctly. What percentage of the conclusions that you've made
Yeah.
about the world that we share do you think are accurate?
Gosh, depending on the day.
Like, say we have a bucket, and in that bucket is full of all the conclusions that you've made about the world that we share. What percentage of those are true, do you think? What percentage of those are accurate?
I'm gonna go coin toss. Coin toss
50?
50-50.
Okay. What percentage do you hope are accurate?
Less than 50, because I've got some negative things too. Hello? I've got some,
You hope less than half of your conclusions are accurate?
if they're on the negative side.
Just total.
Or
Like that bucket that we've got of all of your conclusions about the world, how many of those, what percentage of those do you hope are true? Do you hope are accurate?
75.
75?
Yeah.
Does that mean that you hope 25% are not accurate?
Yeah, because I have some bad things that I think, and I would love to be proven wrong about that 25%.
Okay.
Yeah.
You hope you're wrong 25% of the time.
About conclusions I've made, assumptions that I've made.
How do you decide which ones you hope are wrong and which ones you hope are not wrong?
I think it just like comes down to the way it makes myself and other people feel.
Back to
Really?
the feeling.
Yeah.
Okay. How reliable are feelings when we want to know something true about the world?
How reliable are feelings? I could go really strongly both ways. I think feelings can make you do really dumb things. And I think feelings can make you do really good things. Depends on how. I could go on such a tangent right now. I'm gonna not do that. Oh my goodness. I'm not gonna do that. Oh, okay.
Next time.
Next time.
We'll explore that next time.
Um,
Cool. That was great. Megan.
yes.
And Trike?
Tyke. Oh.
Good to meet you both. You want another one?
Thank you.
You deserve another one,
Thank you
don't
for
you?
the treats.
Thanks so much for talking.
I hope you don't think I'm just out of my mind.
Why would I think that?
Every single word I've said for the last hour. I don't talk to people about this a lot. It's hard to relate to a lot of people on that thing without sounding like you're,
Did you feel
you know.
safe exploring it in this situation?
Totally. I just had to reel it. I don't want to ever feel like I'm convincing somebody of something. Like, I'd love to share my beliefs if someone's asking me, but people don't usually ask. You know, my close circle knows what I'm about. And even if I'm about to say something that's a little out there, I'll say, like, okay, woo-woo for a second. To kind of, like, soften the blow. Because I know it's out there. But I love it, so why not celebrate it?
If the law of attraction was not real, would you want to know?
Probably not. My feelings would be hurt.
You wouldn't want to know?
I don't think so. I think a lot of great things come from belief. That's what brings people together. Like, if you look at even, like, religion, people share that common belief. And they have this thing. They want to feel like they belong to something. All of the beliefs that I just said to you, that's where I belong.
How important is it to you to believe true things?
Pretty important. I don't want to, coming from the person talking about all this stuff, I don't want to come off as, like, naive or delusional or out of touch or anything. And that's why I'm 1,000% okay with being wrong too. Like, I welcome discussion and I welcome being wrong, because I feel like the more I know, the better I can be.
But you would not want to know if the law of attraction was not real.
No, because the thing is that right there, that's not harming anybody. I'm not harming anybody with my practices and what I do. It involves nobody else. Going back to what I said with, this isn't work that someone else can do for you. It's not like a gathering thing. You have to do this for yourself. So I am not harming anybody in this process.
Yeah, because your behavior wouldn't even change if you found out it wasn't real, you said, right?
Exactly. Because I lead with good. So I do the best I can to be good for the people around me and for strangers. And why would I ever want to change that?
Could you be good in those ways without believing in the law of attraction?
Yeah. It's too late to go back now. You know, going back to what I was saying earlier, there are selfish undertones about doing nice things for people because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel my best. And then going back to the win-win thing, because I get to help someone who needs something from me, and then I feel amazing all day. So it's also very selfish.
And you don't need to believe in the law of attraction to do good for others.
No. But it helps set the tone.
Okay.
Going back to, like, matching the energy or the vibration, right? It's like you have something and you hold on to it so tight, there's no room for anything to go in or out. So it's like you let go and you start to give and you attract more. Therefore, you continue the cycle. Like, the more I have, the more I'll give. So that's the driving force. It's like having more I equate with, you know, safety and security and freedom. And I want to extend that to other people. So the more those things I have, the more I can give that to other people. So, law of attraction, real or not, like, I would behave the same way.
Cool.
Did we get somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh,
Do you have a phone?
yeah.
If you want to, you can scan this. It takes you to my YouTube channel.
I would love to.
Is it okay if this goes on YouTube?
Totally. If you'll have me,
Cool.
I will gladly.
Awesome.
This is so cool.
Yeah, it's a way of exploring people's beliefs without it being like a debate or like an argument, you know?
Yes.
Because if something's true, I want to believe it. If it's not true, I don't want to believe it. And like I was saying before, I think it's important for our community to at least know what's supporting their beliefs. Because I think, or I suspect, a lot of us just walking around have these beliefs and we don't even know why we believe them.
Yeah.
And this is a way to kind of explore that.
It helped me.
Cool.
That's for sure. So I'm like, I have no idea. I just the knowing.
Yeah.
Like I just I don't even know how to explain it, but I feel like we kind of dug it out a little bit.
Cool.
I would think.
That's the idea.
Beautiful.
It's really coming down. Do you have something in mind?
Did great.
Thank you. So I've never interviewed for anything at all.
Well, cool.
It's just me
Yeah.
signing off, right? Oh my goodness. Well,
Good to meet
thank
you.
you. It was so nice to meet you too.
Megan.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thanks so much for stopping.
Yeah, hopefully nobody hates me.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Take care.